Today we're looking at some of the hottest selling Halloween items right this very minute. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to look at some of the hottest selling Halloween items out there right now. What's selling right this second for the most money? Now, I love Halloween collectibles in general. Most all of them are pretty cool. This is one of the little candy containers or lanterns. You'd stick a little candle or a light inside of these. These are extremely popular. These date back to the 20s. Biggest thing on these is they're made out of paper mache. Paper mache and pressed paper are some of the most expensive things out there right this minute for Halloween. But it's not the only thing. We're going to look at some newer items right now and some discontinued items that are selling for buku bucks right now that you could still possibly find out in the store as well. Now, just like the little lantern candy container I just showed you, this is made out of paper as well. This is a small thing. It's 19 by 26 inches in size. This is made out of basically the same thing. The black parts on here are compressed or paper mache, and then the orange sections are tissue paper. This is a tabletop piece that would be made to stand in front of some sort of light so it would shine and reflect light back and forth. This sold for $6,300 plus with multiple bids. These sorts of things are extremely hot. Hard to come by as well. The paper are usually destroyed. These items were also not meant to last. They were made out of cheap material for the most part. So that's why they are so scarce. Here's another one here, compressed paper as well. Most all of these earlier items here are just paper. That's it. So they aren't made to last, and finding them in good condition is fairly scarce these days. They just don't turn up very often at all. When they do, they sell for prices like this. This one went for almost $6,700 with many, many bids. Now, another collectible area tied to this are the tin parade items. These are actually made to be mounted on a stick. A lot of them were made in my local area, actually, by a company called Toledo Sign Company. They made a lot of these earlier tin-style ones. A lot of them aren't marked, but having them in excellent condition with the original paint is key to it. These will sell for even up to $10,000 if it's complete with everything there, including the staff, the stick, and all the inside workings to hold the actual lantern or candle inside this. This one went for $4,800, again, with many, many bids. Now, here's another example. This one is marked as by the Toledo Sign Company. So this is just an example to give you an idea. It looks pretty much like the other one. This was one of the leading companies that made these back in those days. They do still show up. You'll find them in attics, garages, barns, basements, in old houses, estate sales especially. This has the entire stick so you can see. A child would have carried this around as they paraded around town for candy or whatever the case may be at that time. These were common back in those days. You'll see photos of these. You will see postcards of these, illustrations, trade cards, the whole works of kids walking around with these lanterns in hand. And this one sold for $4,150 plus. Again, many, many bids. These are super, super collectible. When they come up, they sell for some monstrous prices every single time. Now, vintage games dating back to the 20s and 30s are highly collectible. This is one that's been out there for a while. This is a fortune-telling game. It has witches all over it. There's several different versions of this. Boxed versions as well go for the most amount of money. It's a pretty interesting piece. Lots of jack-o'-lanterns all the way around. A key thing you will see in a lot of these will be J-O-L in the title. Jack-o'-lantern. That's what J-O-L stands for. They would be in capital letters. So whenever you list something like this, you'd want to stick that in there. Now, the box for this has a witch standing in front of a cauldron as well. There's many different versions of this. Not all of them look like this at all. Some of them are pretty generic, pretty cheap. Others are spectacular with all sorts of different boards. There's a spinning device in a couple of the ones I've seen also. Any of them will sell for some good money. And this one sold for $2,950. Again, many, many bids. Another area tied with Halloween are candy containers. You will run into them all over the place. You can find candy containers for almost every single holiday out there. I've seen them for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's, Easter, obviously Halloween. Everyone out there you could imagine you could find these sorts of things. Now, this one is missing part of it. It's still sold for $2,600 and some odd bucks plus with many, many bids. Now, it should have had a lid on the very top. But the actual, I guess, pumpkin bird is sitting on a container. That container would have held candy, as well as there would have been candy in the bird's head. Paper mache. Just paper mache, cardboard, and paper is all this is made out of. There's people right this minute as well who do recreations of these for the art's sake in general. Not to fool people, but for the art's sake. Now, some of those reproductions can actually fool the novice, or people maybe use them to fool somebody else. But either way, even the reproductions are worth money. As long as you can tell the difference, you're all set and good to go. Either way, though, they do sell for some big bucks, as I said. The reproductions I have seen selling for thousands of dollars as well. Now, there's a whole line of them that always reminded me of Dr. Seuss characters, and this is one of those right there. This is all paper mache. It's been whimsically painted, I guess you would say. These sort of realistic-looking jack-o'-lanterns pretty much have gone way of the past for the most part. Again, you can see recreations of this exact same basic pumpkin here as well. This is another one of those styles you may see modern-day reproductions of. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. But don't pass the reproductions by either. Just list them as reproductions. You will still be able to sell them for some good money. This one here sold for $1,891, many bids as well. Now here's another candy container. Some of these had dual purposes. You could have used them for candy to begin with, and then you could have turned them into a lantern by adding a candle to them later on. Now, some of these types were sold in boxes of a dozen or more of these. Other times you could buy them individually from, say, a card shop or paper supply company or something like that. They were sold flat. You'd assemble them, stuff them with candy, and you could give them out. Or the parents could purchase these and the child could carry these around to collect candy. This one looks to have a little bit of an issue with it here and there, but still an excellent item here to say the least. Now, this was made by one of the biggest manufacturers of all of these sorts of items, Beastly. This dates back to the 1920s and 30s era. Highly collected. Over $1,400 with many bids. Now, as I said earlier, there are some new items that sell for some phenomenal money as well. This is a discontinued Walt Disney pumpkin collection item here. It lights up. These are going for some crazy prices right now. Hot fad. Didn't make them in big quantity. But again, this is new. New items right here. $6,670 with many bids. Now, here is an item from an extremely sought-after line. There's a whole bunch of different buildings going to the Loupe Spooky Town series. This is Chuckles Funhouse. They light up. It's actually realistic. You can build a whole little town with them. Spooky Funhouse, as you can see here. Really nice, interesting item. These were discontinued. They don't make them anymore and haven't for a little bit of while there. They only make them for a certain amount of time. Still box. These are something you could still find out there at a garage sale. These didn't cost crazy money back in the day. They were still expensive, but not what they're selling for right now. You can easily sell some of these for $1,500, $2,000 or more a piece if you get the right one like this here. Again, these will turn up. Most people aren't aware that something that looks like this can go for that kind of money. And here's another example from the Spooky Town series here. This is Octo Squeeze. It's supposed to be a amusement ride, one of the octopus scrambler, those type of things here. Really nice one as well. Most all of them light up or do something. Now, to me, these always reminded me of a takeoff, A Nightmare Before Christmas, like expanding upon that world in general. Interesting. Again, almost $2,000 for this one here. Now, another highly sought-after decoration piece here was sold at Home Depot. It is highly possible there's a Home Depot out there right now that could still have one of these on a return shelf or something like that. This is a 12-foot tall, moving, light-up skeleton that you would put in your yard with a bunch of bones and things in there. This is a really extremely hot item right this very moment. Everybody was scrambling to get these for the front yard and the whole works. On eBay, they are running from $1,000 all the way up to almost $2,000. They will sell as quick as you can list them up online. So if you've got one laying around the house, you need some cash, this is an excellent item here that you can get some quick bucks in right off the bat. And lastly, an item you could have bought in the mall at Spencer's. This is the Crypt Keeper here. It's kind of like a tie-in, I'd say, to the movie itself. This is from the 90s. It just came in a plain white box. It comes with a tape, so you can play sound with it as well. This would just be a decoration. There are decorations like this that can sell for some incredibly good money, mostly the ones that are life-size. This folds down and you can kind of bend them back in the box. I've seen one of these before, actually. I even remember them at the mall mall at one point as well. They used to have these set out in front of the Spencer's advertising for this item for Halloween. All of these sorts of things right now are super, super hot, as are any of the earlier items made out of paper mache with Halloween decorations on them. But anyway, that's what I have for you today. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
In a Weeble's haunted house, Weebles wobble all about, and it's a real exciting place to be. A smiling ghost with glowing face has a secret hiding place, and that's not all, there's plenty more to see. Because a Weeble's haunted house is a great place to be. Weeble's haunted house, including glow-in-the-dark Weeble ghost from Romper Room.